Namaste, Jai Bharat. Uh, some changes keep happening in geopolitics every time. Things will change. Of late, we see that ancient civilizations of the world are increasingly interacting one another more than what used to be in the past. I would begin from Bharat because that's the most ancient civilization of mankind. Undoubtedly, Bharat goes closer to Greece and some other such nations with ancient knowledge tradition, ancient civilization. They come close and they start interacting. Many, I just mentioned Greece alone, but there are many others with ancient civilizations. Now, these civilizations in the past were not isolated. It's illogical if one presumes that they used to be isolated. No, that's not the case. They knew one another in spite of the distance, that is time and space. They knew one another. They interacted with one another. Maybe the numbers of interactions, if you quantify, must have been less as compared to times later with the increased facilities of communication. That, of course, is obvious. But then, such interactions, though less in quantity, must have been much more intense and meaningful than what other things what we speak of. Now, this suggests one thing. This suggests one to look at concept of time as presented by the European knowledge tradition as linear and as presented by the Bharatiya knowledge tradition as cyclical. These are two different concepts. It is something again like music. The European music, we call it as Western, but West is too large a term, so let me focus more. The European music is based on the principle of harmony. Harmony of many instruments, co-functioning. Whereas Bharatiya music, Bharat has everything of her own, distinct. Bharatiya music is based on melody principle. Now, these two are two different principles. Nonetheless, their music similarly. You talk about time, a linear concept of time, which is difficult for one to comprehend, because you outrightly say time is infinite, and the very concept of infinite is not easy to comprehend. Beginningless and endless and middleless, obviously. If you try to envisage, it's beyond your capacity of mind to comprehend it until you are a yogi, of course. I said yogi not because I understand the mind of yogi, but I anticipate, I expect the yogi's mind to be much wider or much more dynamic than us and infinite than us. What we have smaller mind, which we confuse our mind mostly with intellection. That remain. So the linear concept of time of yesterday, today, tomorrow, etc., is different from the cyclical concept of time. The chronology of Bharat, if you look, that's a very serious area. You will be amazed, and when you try, you will be amused at the same time. The concept of Kala Ganana, Bharatiya Kal Ganana, I will only speak as cyclical. Once one goes into Bharatiya concept of chronology, it's very, 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 it takes time, simple for that. It begins from Thrudi, the minimum base unit of time is Thrudi, to Manvantaras. And look at the Yuga concept itself for easy understanding. 4 yugas, then Yugandhya, then a repetition, starting with the first to the fourth. 4 yugas, then end of yugas, then recycle. So this way, if you understand time, you will not be pressed with the question of infinity. Actually, there will be no infinity. There will be an ongoing process that continuously goes on, and continuously goes on till when we do not know. So that kind of a cyclical movement, sine wave like, no, a cyclical is the most apt. And the Kala Ganana, if you look, you will find out, is very interesting. So, why I said this is just to bring one point home. It's natural for ancient civilizations to interact in modern times. Time goes cycle. The time runs, and then suddenly, after the two European wars, which creates geopolitical balance upside down, suddenly somebody becomes very powerful. The Industrial Revolution, then the ruthless marketing of commodities into colonies, that period is gone. Then it repeats. It goes a cycle, and now it's natural for the ancient civilizations to interact once more, where the peripheral advantages of material benefit, which the so-called today's number one world, I don't know in which aspect they are number one economically, of course, is enjoying, would cease to exist, again into a flux of going in a cycle and cycle. So this ups and downs ought to be there. I'm talking about my nation, Bharat. We have had a time, one time glory, the richest in the planet. We have had our bad times, the worst humiliation we took. It's not the Jews who were killed mostly. It's the Hindus who were killed mostly. In Holocaust was very explicit for the Jews, but Hindus it was slow poison. But the amount of Hindus who got killed or converted by force. Converted by force is a phenomenon. Either you choose Islam or death. That used to be a situation once upon a time. Their number is, staggering. You just find out from sources available in the media. Find out. So that thing took place. Then the leftover of colony, the richest nation was impoverished. Then slowly, once staggers, there were some good rulers, meaningful rulers. There were some who were not that efficient, or maybe not committed to nationalism. And this comes, and then suddenly, after all these years, we have a meaningful government who are hardcore nationalists, and not that they don't do anything for themselves. None of our leaders, even in the past, leave this nation and go and live abroad after the tenure is over. Amass money, go and settle in somewhere, some other land other than your own. So we do have that belonging to the land. We call it as Mother, Bharat Mata we call. And this revival shall happen. It took long time for the decadence, and it will also take some time for the resurgence of this nation. But hopeful, one can hope, and we are happy with the directions in which our nation society is moving. Nation society, and again borrowing the expression from none other than Maharishi Aurobindo, nation soul we have. And unpack the concept of nation soul, we'll find quite a few things interesting. We shall meet again. Namaste. Jai Bharat, Jai Siya Ram.